donut. Delicious.
Mr. Cowherd.
Look at that. That is amazing. Okay,
Let's go. Sprinkles.
Oh, cupcakes. Good move.
No, good
move,
call.
Sanchez.
By the way, have you had a Philadelphia Eagle game this year? You have.
Yes, the Tuesday one.
Okay, so you tell me.
They're a bully. They've built a bully, and they run it at will. Coach Stoutland, I mean, he was the O-line coach even back when I was there. But Kelsey, that O-line is so big. They got to be the biggest in the NFL. And they just mow you down.
They really do.
They push you around. They beat you up. And it's perfect for Jalen because he's learning. I don't think he's ready to be a drop-back passer like at this moment, but he is improving so much. He's taking care of the ball pretty well. And they just get the extra number in the run game.
That's right.
So because he's
the math equation.
Right. He's the guy that you have to worry about. So he's either handing it, keeping it, and running that triple option stuff, and then all the tight end screens they mix into Goddard, the way they use Rager, it's like they figured out their identity and said, okay, this is our best chance to win. Let's roll with this, see how far we can take it, and then we'll add players as we go.
You know, what they also do I had a coach tell me this once about Lamar Jackson. He goes, our problem is, we don't have a Lamar Jackson in practice. So we can't practice for what they do.
That's true.
Philadelphia, like if you're a team with two drop back guys, like Tampa.
Exactly. Like Blaine Gabbert and
Brady.
The kid from Florida.
Trask.
He's not running the read option. Like usually, so when we prepared at USC for Vince Young, we put like running backs at quarterback and stuff because I couldn't play that. I couldn't be Vince Young.
Right.
I mean, I was okay. I was probably the fastest I had been, but not fast enough for that.
That's right.
And it's hard. It's hard to prepare for that.
You had the Bills this past week, and I've said there's the this is really in my wheelhouse. There's a Mike Tyson quality. I never thought Mike had the best jab or was in the best shape.
Sure.
But if you didn't come prepared and you left yourself open, you were out.
No doubt.
Buffalo, almost all their wins are blowouts. They can play terrible and blow you out. I keep saying as long as they aren't deterred by weather, because they do need to throw, they don't run it. What do you make of their chances having watched them in the playoffs? Do they make too many mistakes?
I think against a really good team, they're going to have to play it a lot tighter. Like the 3 interceptions from Josh last week, they got away with them because they were playing against Atlanta, right? And then at the very end, I mean, Atlanta's in that ballgame until the taunting penalty on Matt Ryan, right? Because if he gets in and he's technically not giving himself up on the goal line and that's a touchdown, then the penalty's assessed on the kick. But because he didn't get in the end zone and didn't score, they had to back him up, and now it's 4th down and a prayer from the 16, 18-yard line or something.
Yeah.
So they're in the ball game, a 1-score game with like 4 minutes left. The Bills should have wiped him off the field.
They lost to the Jags.
That's what I'm saying. So that's my only fear is the inconsistency. I thought, I think at times they get a little cute. But I thought Singletary's really coming around. I'd love to see them use Zach Moss a little more.
Yeah, I don't
really
understand that.
I mean, I thought he was great coming out of Utah.
So did I.
Like he had a lot of mileage on him because he ran a lot at Utah and all that. Almost like a Le'Veon Bell, where maybe he's not going to have like a 12, 13-year career as a running back, which is hard anyway, right? Those guys get banged around. So I just thought, that kind of 1-2 punch would be a little better for him. But when Josh runs it, I mean, he's almost their leading rusher every week.
Yeah.
So my only fear is like, just don't get him banged around, right? I need him available and then tighten up a couple of those plays. It's really like, it's not like just a bad read. Those were just a bad decision at the very end. Like, say, uncle, don't make me chicken salad out of chicken crap. Just throw it in the 3rd row, give somebody a souvenir in the stands, and move on with your life. And that's the hardest thing to do. I mean, plenty of quarterbacks have had trouble with it, myself included, because you're so confident. You know you can make the throw no matter what the circumstances are. I can fit this ball in there. And at this level, you can't. All
right, so the Saints need a win and a Niners loss. You've done Saints games. You have the Saints this week at Atlanta. Atlanta's weird. They'll make this very competitive. What is your take on the Saints? Like, there are teams, the Raiders and the Saints. My takeaway is, how the heck are they? How are they? I don't understand.
I mean, what Sean Payton's been able to do, and it's a credit to Dennis Allen and that defense.
Yeah.
But that front is tough now. You saw what they did to Tampa. I mean, that's the defending Super Bowl champ.
Shut them down.
The last 4 out of 5. So the last 2 years, I mean, they just bullied him and beat him up and left him bruised and battered. Like every time they just got the formula. I mean, you saw Brady run to the sidelines and tell Dennis Allen how he felt.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like Brady doesn't do that. So you could tell they have something on defense that's really special. Demario Davis, Cam Jordan. I mean, those guys really come to play. So Atlanta's going to be in tough. I don't know if Sean Payton's getting enough credit for this year. Like,
no, I mean, listen, it's
starting quarterback, starting running back, receiver doesn't even play. Mike Thomas doesn't even play.
Think about Belichick last year. They were a play against Buffalo and Seattle from going like 17 games last year, or it was 16 games.
16.
Still?
So they would have been 9-7.
8 opt-outs. Cam Newton,
exactly,
who we see now, is kind of shot. You go back and look at Belichick, you're like, that was one of his best coaching jobs ever.
Most other coaches, save for maybe like Andy Reid, Sean Payton, Mike Tomlin, like those are 2-win rosters. That's a 2-win roster potentially, or 2-win scenario all season long. But because they got that guy, because Sean Payton's going to grind it out and formate these plays on offense and put Trevor Siemian or Taysom Hill in a position to be successful, to generate some sort of offense. And it's been patchwork at best. But I mean, that guy's got a lot more gray hairs this year than he's had in the last 15.
It's funny. We just had a Baker Mayfield story, which it's kind of interesting. I've always said this. I like my presidents to be presidential. I like my quarterbacks to be quarterbackial. And it's kind of unfair. Yeah. You come out of college, you're 24 years old, you got money and girls, and I kind of expect you to be a 34-year-old, and that's not fair. Right. But life's not fair, and that's the position you're representing. And there was a story today by Mary Kay Cabot, who's been covering the Browns forever, legitimate reporter.
I saw the response.
Yeah. And my takeaway, here's my takeaway. A, it doesn't matter if you and I like it or the fans. The GM and the coach don't like it. That we know. But here's the other thing. His future in Cleveland's murky. It's a reasonable take. Do you put that out there knowing there's going to be a GM out there being like...
That does like it?
That doesn't.
Oh, that doesn't.
It's just a lot of toxicity, right?
It was just a little strong. I think it was a little aggressive, the response. Like,
that's who he is, though.
I mean, what he's trying to say is there's no truth to this.
That's right.
So just say that. Like, I get it. It was just a little, when you read it, it was very emotional, right? Like It was emotionally driven.
Right.
And that was the response, which is fine. He's an emotional guy. He's, reactionary guy. Fine. Is it a little overkill? Maybe a little. Okay. Don't lie about me to put food on your table. Like, I don't know if you have to go there. Is he wrong for going there? No, that's his opinion. He's, Twitter, you can say whatever you want. It's a bathroom wall of the internet.
It is. It's a toilet. So you didn't deal with Twitter. You didn't really have a Twitter stuff.
No, I just remember I tweeted out something about going to the Mets game and throwing out the first pitch, and it was Citibank Field. And I mean, I hadn't been to New York. Like, I had no clue. And so I put CITY instead of CITI.
Oh, crushed.
And I mean, just immediately, like, idiot, like, West Coast moron. I was like, oops. I was like, this Twitter stuff sucks. Yeah. Forget that.
It is. It's a sewage spill. It is interesting. And I'm going to ask you this because it's the NFC South where it's a little unsettled at quarterback or old, Matt and Tom. You have a very aggressive owner. He's a go-for-it guy. They've got some interesting wide receiver talent. Matt Rule's an offensive coach. Seattle, by the way, needs corners desperately. That's like one of the weakest spots.
Ship Gilmore there?
They have J.C. Horn, Stephon Gilmore, C.J. Henderson.
Oh, Horn didn't really play, right? He's
Dante Jackson. Yeah. So they got corners to give Seattle in a trade. Seattle needs a big-time corner. And the Panthers, let me ask you this.
Who's going to be the coordinator?
Well, that's a question. So I have a question for you. You're Russell Wilson today. And you think this. Now, here's my knock. Seattle's roster is easily the fourth best in that division, and you have a 70-year-old defensive coach against 3 offensive coaches, and oh, by the way, really good quarterbacks. Would you leave? If you felt the roster's not good enough and I want an offensive coach, would you now you know Pete, but would you consider leaving?
He's going to consider leaving. The way everything went this year,
he'll consider it.
If it's me personally, I don't know, but I'm too biased to ask that question.
Okay. What would be attractive to you, though? Would you have to have an offensive coach?
That would be nice, but it's not the end of the world if you don't.
All right, it's fair.
Let's just say they feel like their time's up and they don't want to run it back with Pete. And, he's just like, okay. I'm not saying that's the right move. I'm just saying if he says that. I don't know if Carolina's on my short list.
Okay.
look at the QBs that have been through there. I mean, they have almost the same number of tombstones at quarterback as Myles Garrett has on that cape, on that Grim Reaper cape.
Right.
I mean, it's Bridgewater, it's PJ Walker, it's Sam Darnold. They've just run through them and they don't give anybody any time. So I don't know. And who's going to be your coordinator? And do you want to go to Charlotte? Is that the market you want now?
No, I think
I could see him wanting to go to New York. Maybe not the Jets, but the Giants, or somewhere with a chance to win now, or somewhere with a big market, something different. I don't know.
New York's funny, Mark.
I just don't know if Charlotte's the spot for him.
No, it's fair. So I said this earlier. The NFL, I've seen Bill Parcells do it 4 times. He takes a bad team, makes them good overnight. You can't do that in baseball. You need players, and a lot of the bad teams in baseball just don't have the money. In the NBA, you're not going to go get Kevin Durant and LeBron show up to the Pacers overnight. But in the NFL, you can overturn about 40% of your roster. You can get 6 free agents, 9 draft picks, and if you get the right quarterback, things change.
No doubt.
And when I kind of look around the NFL right now, is the Giants are interesting. And this is why I think they'll go big after Russell. I think they're the only team in the National Football League that is, barring Russell going there, they're hopeless. Houston, Davis Mills, in a weird division, doesn't feel hopeless. Not great, but hopeless. Okay, Dallas has way better players. Philadelphia's got better players. Washington's got better players. And you don't have the right quarterback.
Yeah.
So when you're desperate.
You think they'd swap QB for QB and picks?
Well, here's what I'm saying.
Who would they get? Who would the Giants give?
Okay, the Giants. What would Seattle get? They've got good corners. They got more weapons. Give me Sterling Shepard. Give me your Bradbury, your top corner. I want 3 first.
And the quarterback? And Daniel Jones?
Listen, for a year, I would deal with it.
I'd kind of take.
That's what I'm saying. My thing is,
maybe Pete wants somebody like that. That's like Russ early on. Not Russ, who he is now.
I guess my point
Russ,
is, I think the Giants are desperate.
Yeah.
I don't think Houston's. In fact, I had a source that I trust yesterday tell me on Houston, they're not taking a quarterback.
Did you check your source with Baker Mayfield?
I did not. Clickbait.
Too soon, Joy. I'm sorry.
But their theory. Well, here's their theory: the quarterback class out of college is better than next year. Let's just go
in
get
2 years, not this year.
Let's get Davis Mills. We drafted him in the 2nd. He was more than competent.
Jones is going into his 4th.
His 4th year.
And so do they have to decide on a 5th-year option now?
Let's just move him out, get a star, give up our top corner, a number 2 receiver, 3 to 4 number 1s. Pete may jump at that. It's not.
I wouldn't be shocked. I think that's a better spot for him potentially than Carolina. I also think Denver. If either him or Rodgers go to Denver, I mean, it's on. It looks just like Peyton Manning. I mean, that is eerily similar.
Have you done a Bronco game this year?
Yes. And they can run the rock. They got a decent defense.
They do.
I mean, Vic Fangio's had that defense playing pretty well.
Fant, good receivers.
I mean,
top corners.
And Julius Thomas came on when he had a quarterback like Peyton Manning throwing them the ball. I mean, he went to 3 Pro Bowls out of nowhere.
Right.
I mean, he was a good player the whole time, but then he found the right combination, the right chemistry.
All right, I'm going to put you on the spot. It's not always the best team that gets to the Super Bowl. It usually is, but it's often matchups. So when you look at the NFC and AFC, I do not think the Packers and Chiefs are a layup. I think you can run the ball on Green Bay, and I think everybody in the NFC, now they got Sony Michel and Cam Akers in LA. Packers' run defense is bad. Yep. So I think the Rams are a bad matchup for them. I kind of think the Rams have a chance to come out of the NFC. Your NFC and AFC.
They went, the Rams went up there, right? No, they where did they play? They played Green Bay at Green Bay. Yeah, it was freezing.
Yes.
And it's not getting any warmer. That's a real thing. I know it's cold for both sides. They're just used to it. But the Rams kind of knew that. We had them right around that time against the Jags. And they said, listen, this is a get back on track game. We got to kind of run the table here at the tail end of the season. But we're going to have to go through Green Bay again. They're not going to give up that spot because they're winning too many games.
Right.
So we got to get ready for that. Having Cam Akers back, that's huge because they're going to need to run the ball, play a little keep away.
Yes.
And it gets like situational baseball, right? Games during the regular season are, 10-12 and the Astros win. Well, you get in the playoffs and it's like 2-3, 2-1 and very
situational.
Situational. You bring in certain relievers and all that kind of stuff. It's the same thing in football. Rarely are there just absolute blowouts. You see, look at Tom Brady's Super Bowl run last year. Those are probably his worst playoff stats he's ever had.
And they were all
throwing multiple picks, less than 200 yards. Like, that's not Tom Brady. So, the team has to figure out a way to win. And do they have a good enough team, a talented enough team? Absolutely. I think the Rams can make a serious run.
Yeah.
Cardinals, Cowboys, they're just kind of hit and miss, right? Like, it's hard to figure out what they are. You can say the same thing about the Rams. Those are tough ones, though. I mean, that's going to be interesting. But, Green Bay is in the driver's seat.
Yes. All the teams that could challenge him are either dome teams or warm weather. And to your point, weather matters.
No doubt.
It's interesting with Kansas City. They scored 3 points in the second half against Cincinnati. I think they should be favored, but they have dry spells. We know Mahomes has had some bad months. And that second half against Cincinnati, the Bengals were up and down the field.
Oh, yeah.
I think they should be favored. But again, I think Tennessee's a weird matchup for them.
They just run the heck out of the ball.
And over.
Tannehill's, he's so, solid. He's so good. He's not great. He's not, the best to do it. But he's more than capable. And he seems to get him out of jams at times. They're not great on third down. That's got to be a lot better for them. But the ability to run the ball, I can't emphasize that enough, especially in the playoffs. You got to run the rock. Got to. It just makes it hard when you can't.
Yeah. So you look at this NFL season. Do you have one takeaway from it? I think it's amazing. We've gone through COVID, end of the year, injuries, and it's mostly who we thought would be here. That we've, once again, the NFL skated around COVID, and here we are.
I think Arizona was a little bit of a surprise for me. I didn't see that. I didn't see this kind of ascension. Rams, I thought because of Matthew Stafford, that's going in the right direction. I guess biggest disappointment, I'm a little shocked that Seattle didn't make a bigger push, but that division is tough.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense looking back on that one. We said this, but Sean Payton just keeping the Saints hanging on. The Patriots, just to be where they're at with a rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
That's tough sledding now.
It really is.
That is so. You can't say enough about that. The kid's played out of this world.
9 games.
And he's barely figuring it out. In some spots he's been luckier than he has been good. Wait till he gets good.
Right.
That's pretty special what he's done.
9 games with 70% completion or more. And their top receiver is Jacoby Myers.
Look at the guys he's throwing to. No offense to those guys.
But it's B guys.
It's not Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Yeah. Not to take anything away from Joe Burrow. The guy, he's been lights out after an injury. So,
yep. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.